Welcome to Financial Investing Radio, where you'll learn the secrets for consistent, high-probability returns in the financial markets for additional income to change your life. Grant applies consistent, high-probability trading systems for the financial markets. He's only recently started sharing these tried and true market secrets. As a gift to listeners, Grant is offering his roadmap to high-probability financial control. Go to financialinvestingradio.com and download yours today. Now, here's your host and trading veteran, Grant Larson.
Hey everybody, this is Grant. Thank you for joining Financial Investing Radio. Okay, it has been 1 year, just about 1 year, shy of about a week. It was about, I think, September 13, a year ago, that I produced session or episode 81. And 81 was focused on biohacking your finances. And I've watched over the last year as I've applied those principles and others into my financial investing and trading strategies. Have you done that? Did you give that a try? I'd love to know the results of your efforts there. Now, what have you been doing over the last year? So it's been 1 year from the time that I posted this, previous episode to this one. What has changed in your financial picture over that last year? What did you do differently? What have you improved? What have you not improved? What are some things that you could work on to improve your picture? Over the last year, here's my report card. Over the last year, I have continued to do trading in the stocks and options area. I work with the trading group. So that trading group is Tackled Trading. That team is an awesome team. You got to check them out. They do an awesome job with swing trading on stocks and options. And I help in with the other coaches there in creating reports. And those stock reports, options reports, go out to that community on a weekly basis. In fact, I just produced one today. I produced a report. So I've been working with that team for some time. All right, so over the last year, that's what I've been doing. Another thing I've been doing is continuing to work on my trading and practicing in futures. I love to trade the futures, especially the E-minis. Love to trade the E-mini futures. And so on a daily basis, I'm up early, evaluating the markets, and then looking for the opportunities to trade. Love to do that. But you know what's interesting is I had someone say to me once, I was at a conference and this guy spoke, and his name's Alex Sharfin. You ever heard of him? Alex said something like, I'm just paraphrasing what he said, but it was something like, if you had $1 million racehorse, right? If you had $1 million racehorse, would you feed it, junk food? And the answer was no. Everyone's like, no, I wouldn't feed it junk food. Says, well, okay, are you worth more than $1 million? And everyone in the room's like, yeah, I'm worth more than $1 million. He's like, then why are you feeding yourself with junk food or with bad things, right? Stuff that's not going to help you. So treat yourself like a $1 million racehorse or even more, which is, of course, each of us as humans are worth even more than that. The price and the value is incalculable. So as I think about the things that we do off the field of trading, if I was to use a sports or a football analogy, the way that we behave off the field is just as critical as the way we behave when we're in the moment making a financial investment or trading decision. Now, on this podcast, I've had the opportunity to bring in and interview a wide range of people, everything from real estate to, in fact, some of the real estate was in mobile homes. That was Shemen. That was just over a year ago. To big commercial opportunities, all the way over to people that are working in futures or people that are working in stocks and options, even to people that are thinking about just the fundamentals of basic budgeting, right? What does it mean to do that? And a foundational principle across all of these, everything that's true that applies to all of it is we take good care of ourselves. We are able to benefit and bless and serve others better by us taking care of ourselves. And what are some ways to do that, right? So here's something to think about. Let's look at some of the key elements of biohacking, right? And let's talk about Does it apply to finances and investing and trading? Of course, I'm going to assert it does, right? I'm going to lean into this. I'm going to say it absolutely does. It's really wise for us to apply wisdom, even a word of wisdom, if you will, that would say, let's apply good nutritional practices in our off-the-field efforts so that when we get to the moment of making a decision in our lives, whether it's how to manage our budget or whether we're going to invest in some real estate or some, what's our 401k plans, whatever it might be, or even in the moment of saying, I'm going to enter this trade and exit this trade, we need to be as clear-minded and clear thinking as possible. But there are many things that are required for a human to think that way, right? To feel that way. So here's some, right? Here's some of the categories of biohacking. One is genetics, all right? So sometimes just pure and simple, genetics just get in the way, right? Or genetics can actually help us. So we need to understand our own genetic footprint. What does that look like? In fact, my older brother is going through a really, really difficult time right now with his health. It's taken him out of the workforce, and he's just in a tough shape right now. And it's some things, I don't even think it's genetics in that case, right? I think it's just some bad luck in terms of health. But these are important things. Genetics, we got to understand. And so the real question is are you born to invest well, right? Are we taking advantage of our brain, and everything we've been given in order to invest well? Okay, we got to think about genetics. Number 2, oxygen. Breathe in. Do you feed your brain with oxygen when you're making financial decisions? That's really a question, right? These sort of biohacking things matter. Make sure you're breathing in. I know I use an Apple Watch. I've got an Apple Watch. I love it. It was given to me by my awesome wife, and so I use it, and every once in a while when I'll be working, it'll like tap me on the wrist and be like, start breathing, Grant. I'm like, oh, I thought I was breathing. But then I realize I've gotten to a state where I'm not supplying enough oxygen in the brain, and then the ability to think clear and to have the information flow around the brain. That's critical. All right, so that's the second thing, oxygen. Number 3, attention, all right? So what's your ability to stay focused on what your task is, right? What's your financial goal? Now, there's some things to do to help with that. We won't go into that now, but the ability to practice staying focused on a goal is super critical when it comes to financial decisions, to entering a trade, to buying a house, to whatever the financial decision is. Got to have the ability to stay focused on that task and see it through, all right? Here's the 4th one as it relates to biohacking and finances and trading. 4th one is memory. All right, now, there must be some discipline, right, when we're making financial decisions, like muscle memory. In other words, it's kind of like exercising or lifting weights or whatever it might be. After you do it for a while, the body adapts and creates muscle memory. Our brain memory, we do the same thing. We have to practice seeing and making good financial decisions. So let's say we've gone through a period of time where our muscle memory in our brain, we've been making bad financial decisions one after the other. It is critical to play a mental role, a mental game, and the game goes like this. So you practice making a good financial decision, and you do it by way of memory, right? In other words, you do it virtually, right? Think it through in your head. You can see yourself making good choices, and you see yourself practicing making good decisions. That is extremely, extremely critical. I actually read this awesome report about one of the college football players. I'm trying to remember his name. It was Stephen R. Covey's son. I believe that was the guy. Yeah, I think it was Stephen R. Covey's son who was playing football, and he was a quarterback, and he had them, practice. And if you know anything about Stephen R. Covey, right, he of course is a brilliant man, or he was a brilliant man, not with us now, but he taught a lot about, practicing seeing success in your head before you actually go and exercise it, and you actually create the pathways in the brain for that. I'm no expert on that, but it is a critical thing to apply. All right, let's move on to the next one, sleep. All right, what can you say? It's hard to invest or trade or balance your budget or whatever it is without taking care of that. Now, I recognize all of us go through ups and downs, things like that, where that ebbs and flows. Sleep's critical. In fact, you know what's actually really critical in this? I can actually be more rested getting to bed earlier, getting up earlier, than I am going to bed late, getting up late. Now, not everyone's that way, but that's just how my body and brain works. So know how your body and brain works and when you're going to get your optimal replenishment period. All right. Next one is environment. So you got to know the best environment for making financial decisions. Now, I know some traders who will not trade when their in-laws are in town visiting, staying at their house. I don't know why. It just creates some sort of emotional stress, and that person is not able to make good choices when they're in that context, in that environment. So know thyself, right? Know the situations where you're going to make those best decisions. The next one, as we're talking about applying biohacking to good investment and trading, the next one is audio. So the right music is food for the brain. And find out what that is, right? For me, it's typically, certain kinds of instrumental music actually allows my brain to not be interrupted, but actually flow freely and let the flow of information. And this actually has a direct impact on some of the stress and fear and other pressures that come in as part of making financial and trading decisions. All right, let's move on to light. Choose the light right. Choose the light right. Say that 5 times fast. Choose the right light. It's critical to stimulating your brain waves. In fact, I read something. I'm trying to remember his name now. He was a psychologist. Anyway, I'm forgetting his name. He wrote some interesting material. I'll look him up. He wrote some interesting material on the effects of different colors on the brain and how it turns on fear centers or turns them off. So be mindful of light. All right, you ready? Nutrition. I mean, how could we talk about biohacking without talking about nutrition? You're influenced heavily, of course, we all are, by the food that we partake. And so as I started out earlier talking about the $1 million racehorse, you're worth more than $1 million. All right, so make sure you take good care of the kind of food. It may mean breaking some cravings of things that actually aren't good for you. In fact, one of the great things I heard not long ago was someone said, always, get to a point where you're always going to be doing the right thing for yourself, right? Which means then you're going to be able to do more opportunities to do the right things for others. All right, movement. Okay, got to get up and exercise and get going. You got to get the blood flowing and get moving. If you sit too long in front of the computer or whatever it is, got to be dedicated to that. Here's the next one, stress. All right, now this can, of course, reduce the blood flow and the oxygen flow, right? And your shoulders carry it. People carry stress in different places. So make sure that you are, in fact, doing those things. In fact, there's a trader that I worked with when I first started learning about trading. His name's Tim Justice. I still actually have the opportunity to work with him and around him today, actually. He's awesome. He was one of my early mentors. And he, after we would enter a trade, he'd say, okay, let's go for a walk. And I'd be like, what? What are you talking about? The market's open. Let's go back and keep after this. He'd be like, it's better to step away, be clear in your mind, take a breath, and then come back with a fresh view. And he found that by applying those kinds of principles, he was better able to make better decisions in a consistent manner. So give that a try. All right, and even if it's not for making a financial, meaning if it's not for, hey, I'm going to actually, enter a trade, but rather it's more like I'm trying to make a decision if we should do X, right? Where can we find money in our budget to take out so we reduce our costs, right? Think about it, take a breath, and so forth. All right, the next one. Here we go. Electricity and magnetism. Woohoo! That's kind of out there. What does that mean? All right, so put some positive vibes out there, right? If you're in a downer mood, then don't start making financial, investing, or trading decisions. It's really that simple. It's actually going to hurt you. And some of those decisions we make in this area of our life can have such long-term impact, right? It's we make a financial decision hastily, or we're not in the right frame of mind. Other things might actually be bothering us. Much better take care of those things, and then you're able to think more clearly. All right, so biohacking our finances, right? It really means taking care of the overall environment. health and spiritual, all aspects, right? Exercise, the whole thing got to be well balanced. When we do that, we're better as traders, we're better as spouses, we're better as investors, we're better in all sorts of areas of our life. All right, everyone, thanks for joining. Take a moment to evaluate and rate yourself in each of those categories. If you ever want to interact or chat with me, please reach out to me. I'm much more interested. How's that for English? Clearly, I'm not teaching English. I'm much more interested in interacting with people who are ready to work and apply their skills and their capabilities out there. So feel free to reach out to me. Look forward. Here's the way that you can contact me. You can contact me at grant@financialinvestingradio.com. Thanks for joining, and until next time, trade safe.
Thanks for joining Grant on Financial Investing Radio. Remember to subscribe and leave feedback. Don't forget to download your free roadmap to high probability financial control before you make an investment decision. Visit financialinvestingradio.com now.